the stencil and placement. So when it comes to the placement and stencil work and all of this stuff, this is for me all very beginner basic. You should already understand this and know this. In case you don't, once again, we give you here in this course anyway our basic instruction from all of this, who follows directly very soon. And in case you are advanced tattooist and you are more in for some bigger, large work, that's a full science behind how to make big stencils and big paintings and how to understand the body on a big scale like this. So in that case, I only recommend you the advanced workshop where it's just about stencil, just about big body placement and freehand painting and how to dive into this, because this is really a really big topic we will not much dive into, because we don't. It's our own topic. So, but we give you the chance. And here now the super basic. In the case you already know all of this, just skip it and go directly to the more specific things. So we have our client here and we have our rough sketch. The idea is to create somewhere like a cut, to have a little bit of the red abstract elements passing over. So we create like a connection between the front piece and the arm. And then we want to have from under the line coming out our pattern to have kind of a big centerpiece, something which is a little bit more massive. For this we will take some of the elements which I designed and connect them to big pieces like I made it in my sketch. This here is just a little bit of rough preview. I was thinking his black sleeve is on the other side as he sent me a mirror picture, but you get the point. We're trying to have the inspiration from the black sleeve take over and create like a fade to the other side, so the black sleeve not looks too lost on this side. And we will start now just painting freehand our first spots on the top, not on the top, with the pattern, because I like the idea to have my cut from the pattern somehow. So it's good to think about how you go through the piece, and we maybe not have to tattoo the pattern first, but we have to still put it there that we can see how is our line, and then we will see which of the fields from the pattern we make bigger and which we let like this. So let's make quick the stencil. I showed you before already how you make that stencil together. And it's always important we try to think about how we can later on progress the tattoo and make it bigger. This is a very simple stencil because it has this long line through, so it will be later anytime possible for us to make it bigger. As we tattoo only for this workshop today, we will not have so much time as we normally would have in a session, and we still keep it open that we can continue the piece as big as we want in future. So we made a stencil, and the next part is we will figure out where's our cut line, because we want to have a little bit of crazier shade on the top. We want to have a couple of red elements. I first have to find my line, and then we continue there. Also, as you see, the body is moving is a different shape. So we will have to make a couple of freehand adjustments and repaint it. Also, this will be not a big problem, and we will have a very nice pattern here. So in case you have a design who can be a little bit confusing then here, because we will make a couple of lines different, it's always good to just use a pen and mark it that you not make any mistakes while tattooing. Because maybe it seems sometimes very obvious for you, but when you're in the tattoo session and you're very close and it's get dirty and messy, there mistakes can be done. So either make some markings, remove it, or paint it as good as you need it. So we also still now want to make a couple of the red lines. So let's see how we do that. This will be our design and the placement. The chest is very straightforward because the only transformation we have is here, so I try to not have the pattern too close to the side, and I anyway don't want anything goes directly here, because that will give the illusion of these robot sleeves, I call them. And so I like always to either have my front piece design run in the arm, or I have the arm run a little bit out. And you see what we created here. We have here the black sleeve with that the red abstract stuff. So we try to bring this a little bit up in the front, have them a little bit even go over on our pattern, so we kind of connect them. For me, as someone who was always bringing big pieces on the body, it's always nice to take, even when it's a work from someone else, try to connect it, try to not think about yourself and your own piece, think about the client, and that he benefits from when you take a little pieces from someone else into your work, or the other way around, so that it's connected. It doesn't matter if it's work you like or you don't like, if it's work in your style or in a different style. It's always nice to try to morph it together as good as you can, especially when it comes to big pieces. You want to create something what is able to morph together. Like here, this side of the sleeve, we go a little bit away, so later we can come with the back from this sleeve and let the black fade into more gray stuff, and let the gray stuff fade behind the black pattern. And that way we can morph both sides together, and he will be a happy client after all. Placement. So especially when you're a beginner tattooist, the placement of a tattoo can be very, very important, because there's so much different spaces on a human body, and some are just so much easier to tattoo than others. First, think about the skin. Think about how is it to stretch the skin. Think about the pain also, because you work on a place where the customer have more pain. You will have probably less time, and it's sometimes can be very hard and challenging to tattoo. So to choose a place like the upper arm or something on the thigh or on the calves, it's way less painful. The same is like to work on the back or on the back of the legs can be way less painful. But no, also it's very important to consider that like the back is, in my eyes, the most important thing of a body. So I always would like to never put something small on the back, because there's so much spots on the human body which you can easily use for small stuff and keep like the front or the back for something really big and meaningful. So here we have a very good example of different kind of tattoo placements, because when you start you probably have like palm-sized tattoos which you work on, and you can see like on the top there's like a lot of very nice placements. Especially on the upper arm, it's very easy for you to reach. It's very easy to stretch. The skin is very good. Also, the skin is not too thin where you have to worry about blowouts or about very difficult line work or stuff like this. While in comparison, places where the joints connected like kind of to the armpit or like here inside, the skin is so thin that it sometimes can be very tricky. You go a little bit too deep and the skin blows out. It's very, very fast. You can kind of hang with the needle, that like kind of the needle steps too deep in and the lines will not get nice. That can be very, very challenging. The same when it comes to the ribs. The ribs it's on most people it's very, very, very tricky and difficult to stretch. While you're on the arm, you can like grab around, you have it so easy to stretch the skin. But on the ribs, it depends on the position. It can be very, very difficult. And then it comes on top. A lot of the people have a lot of pain on the ribs. So in the moment you stab in the ribs, they kind of cramp like this together. And then you see the skin, it comes a lot of skin, so it makes it even more difficult to stretch. So naturally, when I was tattoo people's the rib, I had them like light like this on the side. So I have a really good stretching, but it feels very horrible for the client. And the natural last thing what you want to do when you get tattooed on the rib is bend the other way around. And then while the session, the people come back like this and this. So it's a lot more challenging to tattoo someone on the ribs than it is to tattoo someone on the arm. And also the pain level, it's so different. Like here on the arm or on the upper arm, it's way, way better. And all of this goes usually together, because the places who are like more difficult to stretch, to tattoo, they are also more painful. And so it's a full connecting piece. The same is you start tattooing on the knees or on the elbows. The skin is usually always scuffled, and the skin is usually a lot of hard, and it can be very, very tricky. A lot of people have very, very hard skin on the elbows or on the knees, so you'd not want to start on places like this, because you go somewhere down or somewhere on the side, it's so much easier to tattoo. And in the moment we dive into a world of a little bit bigger tattoos, placement gets even more crucial, because you always want to consider of how the body is moving, and how things deformate with the body. When you have pieces in the size he has, it don't matter so much, because they move only a little bit. But in the moment you make full sleeves, or you make like patterns or straight lines over the full body, everything will be transformed when the body is bending, because the kind of the body is not a plain canvas or a tube we stand around. Everything on the body is in movement. So all of this together can make the placement sometimes very tricky. It always depends on the motif. And in that point, you as a tattoo artist should understand that you not can put every motif on every place, or you could, but it maybe makes no sense, because it don't looks good, it don't looks nice in many years, it will weird bend most of the time, or sometimes there's really nice pieces of tattoos in the internet where they put tattoo somewhere and the t-shirt cover it up and it looks super silly or funny. Then it's just because it's a weird placement where some stuff was not considered. At this point, we will make an extra course just about big placement, how to put really big stuff on the body, to really dive into this topic. But that's probably very not interesting for you as a beginner. As a beginner, just in my eyes, get a lot of tattoos by yourself, and you know which places are better and which less, because you feel it. And then start small tattoos on good places. When you feel the motif bends a lot or the skin not feels right, it's better to maybe choose a different place. Also, have a look a lot about what other good tattoo artists do, where they place their stuff and how it's placed, and you already can learn a lot from this.
Yeah, it's the best to start with more easy parts of the body, like arms, legs, or back maybe, like straight parts, because you don't want to make like a throat or ass or something. This is more, also from the skin, it's more difficult to tattoo there. So yeah, easy reachable areas are, I would say, for beginners are the best. And maybe not the face, maybe the leg. Yeah, this is something you can easily cover later. Because a lot of face tattoos look like beginners was trying to do something, you know, and this may be not the best decision, because in the beginning maybe it's not so easy to like tell people the idea you have, because a lot of people have their own ideas, and then it's not so easy in the beginning to tell them, maybe it's not a good idea, because when you are not so experienced in stuff, then it's not so easy to tell people maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe the design is too small or too big, so this is also important. A lot of tattooers don't care; they just do what the people want. But normally you have to like do what you really think it's the best, and not what the people want. So